Welcome once again to another episode of Becca's Talking, where every Tuesday we put up a new podcast of somebody with an interesting story to tell. And it's just been really cool because it's a little bit of everything. Some very serious, some rather frivolous. And this one is a serious topic that deals with a frivolous thing. And I'll explain all that in a second. But first, as they say in the business, a word from our sponsor.
I would love to hear about the sponsor, Tom.
I'm glad you would, Chris. Our sponsor is the fine folks at Havana Garage in the Old Market. Havana Garage, which if you've been in town any length of time, you've probably already been to Havana Garage, but time to go again. And it's just a great place to go to have a cigar, to sit back, enjoy a cocktail, have some good conversation. The atmosphere there is kind of the old days of Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. and just a great humidor and nice cocktails. So even if you don't smoke cigars, it's a good place to go. Maybe you're having dinner in the Old Market, going to a concert. Make Havana Garage part of your evening.
They've got one of my favorite little places in the Old Market. When you go all the way through the back, they've got that little outdoor garden that nobody knows about. It's fantastic.
You know what? It's funny that you bring this up. And the only reason I say that is because not I wouldn't say every guest, but so many of my guests, 80% of my guests, when I talked about Havana Garage, they talked about, oh yeah, I love going there, whether it's on the podcast itself or afterwards. Like Colleen Quinn, who's the manager of the Funny Bone, who was just the podcast previous to this one, she told me that, she sends a lot of comedians down there.
I'll bet.
Because it's a great place. So again, hey, if you don't trust me, trust Chris. All right? Havana Garage in the Old Market. So, Kris Covi is my guest. Now, you may know this guy and recognize him because he's next to Larry the Cable Guy. He's the second best comedian in Nebraska.
Well, that's from your mouth to Colleen's ears. That is not I'm the second tallest comedian in Nebraska. That's what my website says.
Who's the tallest?
Well, I don't know if he's still in it. There's a guy named Brandon Q who showed up on scene a number of years ago, and I'm at a mic, and I go, man, I think that guy's taller. And at the time, my website said Nebraska's tallest comedian, and I snuck up behind him, and my buddy goes, yeah, he's taller. And I'm like, well, I have to change it now. So I changed it to second tallest comic, and immediately went, oh, that's way better.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
That's way funnier.
And by the way, for those that are watching it on the YouTube channel, I actually had to raise my chair just so our...
There's six phone books under Tom.
Because really, when we first started off like that, I was like down here, and as I know, this ain't going to work. So I had to raise my chair, and he had to lower his, so we'd at least be on some level here. So, but you're not here to talk about your comedy career. And you're not here to talk about the fact that you're also a successful lawyer here in town.
No, I am an attorney at the Dvorak Law Group here in town, and I love my day job, I love my night job, but I'm here to talk about the third thing,
which is very cool because I've always been a big fan of individuals who see a need and say, you know what, I think I can do something, and you're the personification of that. You started this organization called Mustaches for Kids.
That's right.
It's one of the goofiest things you're ever going to hear of, and one of the most successful local charities out there. What is Mustaches for Kids?
Well, in a nutshell, what we do, Tom, is we get together with a bunch of dudes, and then in the month of May, we grow mustaches. We start off completely clean-shaven. You've done it. You start off completely clean-shaven. This year it's on May 1st. And then for 30 days, we grow a mustache. Just a mustache. No goatees, no Fu Manchus, no beards. Just corner to corner, nothing south of the mouth. And during that 30 days... while we're growing these mustaches, people will say, hey, I noticed you're growing a mustache. What's that all about? Often rudely. But then we say, hey, I'm glad you asked because we're actually raising money to support a local children's charity. Will you give me some money? And so each of these growers are out there, hundreds of guys. We have our own language. Growers are the guys that do it. Out there hitting up friends and family for donations. And it started 16 years ago. The Omaha chapter, a guy named Adam Perez, hooked up with my brother and said, hey, I want to do this in Omaha. And a group of us got together and started it, and we thought, you know what we should do? We should beat the Iowa City chapter, right? We want to beat the Hawkeyes. So we wanted to beat them. They raised $1,500. We're like, oh, I think we can do that. So we wanted 12 guys, the original 12 guys. Well, it turned out to be 30, what we call the original Dirty 30.
So wait. So you started this while in college at Iowa State? Or
no. The Iowa City chapter, because there's chapters all over the country.
Okay.
And so the Omaha chapter, which started in 2009, we wanted to beat the Iowa City chapter.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And so $1,500 was the number to beat. We got 30 guys, and we raised $23,000. And we thought, man, that's incredible. $23,000 screwing off, growing mustaches. This is great. And so we did it again. And it kept growing, and it kept growing, and it kept growing. And now we're the largest chapter in the country. We've raised a ton of money for different charities. We can talk about the charities, but we pick different charities every year, so we spread that money around Omaha. And to date, we've raised almost $8 million.
That's amazing. And the charities are always geared towards a charity that benefits children in some way, right?
Yeah, so we try to keep it as local as we can and as geared towards children as we can. Some of them might have a statewide impact. Some of them may help families instead of specifically children. But yeah, that's who we gear it towards. Is we started off wanting to help kind of the littler charities, and it was great for a number of years. And then we got so big that at one point we're like, we have to start spreading this money around. And as luck would have it, COVID hit. And so we went from one charity every year to a virtual campaign during COVID where we grew for 8 different charities. And then every year since then, we just pick a different combination. We get about 35 or 40 applications a year, and we go through and kind of let the applications talk to us.
Now, I want to talk about the charities in a little bit. But before we get to that, I mean, there's a lot more to this than just, hey, well, let's shave and then we'll grow a mustache. By the way, did you give Don Bacon a head start on this by any chance?
No, is he growing a mustache?
Yeah, he's growing a mustache, yeah.
Oh, he's got to start over and grow it with us. I mean, we get to name our mustaches. I would love to have a contest where you get to name Don Bacon's mustache.
Okay, so that is something, because like you have different levels of like there's a competition between all the guys that are growing to see who can raise the most money, right?
There is, although that the competition itself is now kind of blown out of proportion for the new guys. We've got guys that have been doing this for so long. They have these huge donor bases. I mean, our number one fundraiser last year, Corey Leslie, he won the Stashy Award for most fundraisingist. He raised $50,000, and that's insane, right? That's absurd that one person can do that. So when we recruit new guys, we're like, don't look at the leaderboard. These are guys that have been doing it for a long time. What we encourage them to do is get into what we call the Selleck Society. And if you can raise $1,000, you get inducted into the Selleck Society. There's a ceremony. There's a button presentation. That's about it. But there's great honor that comes with being in the Tom Selleck Society.
Well, that's just it, though. Because this thing really, I mean, although you're doing this for very serious causes and that, it's really just a bunch of guys that, and in many cases their spouses having a party.
Yeah, I mean that's the secret to our success. We do not talk about raising money. We get together every week on Thursday nights at various places. We have parties. We just make it fun for the guys, and there's competition. Guys are competitive. They want to get, they'll see that leaderboard. They want to climb up the leaderboard. But it's just a fun time, and we actually had one of our charity partners after we have a big clean shave party to start off the year, and a couple of years ago he came up to me afterwards and he said, Kris, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but from a nonprofit standpoint, you're doing everything wrong. How does this work? And he meant it in the sincerest way.
Yeah.
And I took pride in that. I'm like, we're an anti-charity in a sense. I mean, we do good and we're raising money, but we just kind of do whatever sounds like it's going to be fun, and it keeps working.
What is cool about this also is that, and look, it's very, very difficult. I've dealt with a lot of charities, as you have, and MC work and fundraisers and things like that. But there's only so many dinners, so many golf tournaments, so many 5K runs that you can do. I mean, this is something completely off the wall and different, and I think that's one of the things that make it so appealing.
Yeah, a lot of our guys, this is what they do, right? They can't afford the $1,000 table dinners for all these other great charities. They're not tied in with those folks, but they can do less than what they're doing right now, which is shaving a little less than they normally do. So our guys are anywhere from professionals, blue collar. I mean, it's across the board. College kids all the way up to old guys and anything in between, because literally anybody can do it. I mean, and now not well. 30 days is tough. We've got guys that'll say, hey, my wife or girlfriend won't let me grow a mustache. And I'm like, well, one of them will. Dump the other one.
I shaved for mustaches for kids that one year, and my face looks like a pancake with a nose. So I got to have something to add a little context. So
but after 30 days, Tom, you look better than you ever have.
Yeah, geez, oh shucks. But people, they do this, and the wives get involved too, because you have an auxiliary chapter that also get involved in raising money, right?
Yeah. So the spouses, we have a group called the Ladies of M4K. In our early days, when we were a bit more irreverent, they were called Stash Groupies. But one day they said, we don't want to be called that anymore. We're changing our name. And we said, okay. But yeah, if you look at the success of our group, you can't quantify it without the spouses or the girlfriends. I mean, you look at our best growers. it's oftentimes because their wife is not only beside them, but out in front of them leading the charge, helping with fundraising, helping volunteer. I mean, we act like we don't know what we're doing, but it takes a lot of work to put on essentially 6 parties, including our Stash Bash, which I want to talk to you about at some point, which is essentially the amount of work that goes into a normal gala, which has 6 months of planning and 19 people. And we throw all this together with the volunteers we can grab off the street. And so, yeah, our spouses make us go. And the guys know that. We don't talk a lot about it, but the guys know.
Well, before we go any further, I want to say, if anybody's interested in getting involved in this or find out more about this, what's your website?
So m4komaha.com is the website. But if you just Google Mustaches for Kids, we're usually the first one to pop up. And if you are interested out there, fellas, May 1st is the date to circle on your calendar. That's Thursday. It's going to be at Brewski's, 156th and Q. That's our clean shave event. So go to the website. You can register to be a grower. We take all your information. That'll put you on the email list. And if this sounds like fun, but you have no idea how to do it, don't sweat it, right? We'll teach you everything you need to know about, our lingo and all this silly stuff. Just come in wanting to have a good time, and you will, and you'll meet some fun people. And and the kids. We always forget to talk about how much work we're doing for the kids.
But that's, it's also just from a business standpoint, I imagine it's also a great place to network because you do have so many different people from so many walks of life. So, guys, if you're looking for, maybe some new clients for your business or whatever, it might be a great way to help out a charity and maybe help yourself out somewhere at the same time.
Yeah, that's kind of happened organically. We didn't set out to do that,
Sure.
but along the way that started happening. So we actually have a separate Facebook page called M4K Biz Hub. And so it's a place where guys can go and be like, hey, I need a roofer, or hey, I need a lawyer. And then guys can say, oh, this guy, if you're going to give your work to somebody, it might as well be a mustache brother and somebody that somebody can vouch for, right? Because we all know contractors and all sorts of folks out there that, they show up, they take the check, they never come back. Well, if that happens in the mustache world, we'll send out a posse.
Okay, so you do the clean shaven event. Now, do they shave actually at the event itself, or do they show up clean shaven?
We used to do that. We used to have, we'd have razors and stuff for you there. And the only guy that still does that, a guy named Andrew Galvin, he showed up about 9 years ago, and he showed up, fair-skinned guy, not the toughest face, goes into the bathroom at the event center, comes out, and he's just pockmarked with blood and toilet paper. And so he named his mustache that year Bloody Harry. And now every year as a rite of passage, he shows up with a beard, shaves in the bathroom, comes out, everyone cheers. This is starting to sound weird, Tom.
The guy that told you you're doing everything wrong may have had a point.
He was. No, he was dead on right. Show up clean shaven. And if you can't make clean shave, you still can register and be a grower. We encourage especially new guys to get there, feel the camaraderie, see the presentation on how we do it all. There's no substitute for that. But if you just can't make it, you got youth sports or golf league or something, you can still register, grow the mustache. We have enough materials for you to get you up and running, get your donation page going. And we got a new platform this year. It's super easy to use.
What do you mean, new platform?
Like the donation page and the payment processing and all that. We changed to a different system, simplified it all down. And, I mean, you and I are dinosaurs, but, these kids nowadays, they'll just log in and they'll ignore all the instructions and go, I can do this.
Yeah. Don't get me started on me and computers. That's another topic for another day. But it is, and I've done that in the past. Where after I did my year of shaving, you can't really not know somebody, it seems, that isn't involved in this in some way, shape, or form. And they're always saying, hey, can you give me $25? Can you give me $50? And so I've gone online and gone to their page and made the donation so that they get credit for it and everything. And the money goes, as we said, to very, very good causes.
Yep.
Which brings me to my question here about what other causes. Let's talk about some of the causes in the past that you've done.
Well, there's over 30, so I can't list them all. But we've done a lot of the charities you've heard of, some that you haven't. Every year we pick a different combination. Last year we did 7, so we had 3 what we call main charity partners that get a majority of the money, and then we have bonus charity partners. So these are smaller outfits that we wanted to find a way to give back to. So we carve off a certain amount of dollars every year, give that to the bonus charities. But then each of these charities can have people sign up just to grow for them. So let's say, Tom, you're on the board of one of our charity partners and you're like, well, I'd like to grow a mustache, but I want all my money to go to my charity. We have a way you can do that. Most of the guys grow for everybody, but we have a mechanism there. This year, we picked 1 main charity partner and 2 bonus charities. We just announced them less than a week ago. Our main charity partner this year is Angels Among Us. a fantastic outfit here in town, started locally just like we did. They provide financial support to families who are battling pediatric cancer. So whether they're either in town because of the specialties we have here in Omaha or live here and are being treated, oftentimes one parent has to quit a job. Sometimes two parents have to quit a job. The financial burden to pay the mortgage and all that just becomes overwhelming. Angels saw that gap, stepped into it, and now we actually grew for them in 2019, right before the pandemic, and we were able to take their 14 to 18 family wait list and wipe it out. There's nobody that's been waiting for their services since then. So we are super happy to be providing support for them again. They've always got people in need. Everybody could use like a longer runway of support, right? Because different kiddos have different treatment plans. Some are lucky and some have a year and a half of treatment. So that might be a 2-year runway where they have bills that they can't get paid. And Angels is they're incredible. They're run by incredible people, and we are so thrilled to raise for them.
Okay, so Angels Among Us is one, then the two...
Our two bonus charity partners.
Charities.
Yeah, so one is called Heart Heroes. So they are, again, local charity, started right up here in Omaha a number of years ago. It started simple enough. One of the families had a kiddo with congenital heart disease, and they're like, well, this kid's a superhero. We're going to make him a cape. That way, when he goes into surgery, we'll tell him, you're a superhero, you can handle this. And they decided all the kiddos should have these. So they started making capes, and that was their start. That's why they're Heart Heroes. Since then, they've grown. They do family support. They have programming. They still do the capes. They still encourage the kids. So we're really happy to be partnering with them. And then our other bonus charity partner is Sleep in Heavenly Peace, and they build beds for kids who don't have them. And you might think, well, how many can that be in the Omaha area? Too many, thousands, in fact. And so they have volunteer organizations that come to their workshop. They build the beds. Then when they're done, they take the mattresses, they go out, they deliver them, they put them in the homes with these kiddos. And it's just great. We're super thrilled to be.
That is, you see, and this is a thing, like I said at the beginning, because a lot of what you're talking about here are just everyday people that said, what can we do? We'll just make some capes for the kids. And then next thing you know, it turns into something that's really helping a number of children. Or, we're going to go and do a little project here to help out this one family. And the next thing you know, you've got, a whole operation running.
Yeah.
Stuff like this doesn't really make the news, and quite honestly, stuff like this doesn't get people talking. I've always used the analogy that if it's like 30 below and 2 feet of snow, you can talk about that for hours because the car won't start. You're late for work. You're freezing. The furnace went out. You got stuff like that you can talk about for hours. If it's 72 and sunny, you say, boy, sure is a nice day, and that's the end of it. Same thing is true like with charities and stuff like this. Good people doing good things. Oh, that's really nice that you're doing that, right? Now, if you were out there wreaking havoc and causing trouble, we could talk about you and bitch about you forever. But instead, it's like, boy, Kris and his friends sure are goofy. I ought to make a donation, and that's almost the end of the conversation. And that's too bad, but that's human nature. Yeah. And we talked a little bit about this shaving event, but there's a lot more that you guys do too, right? So this is not just, I'm going to shave, grow a mustache, hit up some friends for some money, and that's it, right?
Yeah, no, it's a fraternity is what it is, right? So we have weekly checkpoints. So we play trivia at one of them. We have a whole night called Mustache Melee where these guys go into the brackets, and they have these head-to-head competitions up on the stage, and then we declare a winner, and they get a big belt. And then, so we do that every week. We do these kind of check-in events because it really is something better done with friends. You can do it by yourself, but we always encourage, especially new guys, who like, bring a buddy, right? Have a buddy there. We'll hook you up with some guys to walk you through it, but it's hard to do by yourself. You need that moral support from your brothers, especially that first week. I mean, we meet that first week for trivia, and that 7-day-old mustache, even on some of us who have a lot of testosterone, it's something to behold. That 7-day, we call it a week-old mustache, and you can spell week either way in that sentence.
We mentioned the spouses earlier, the girlfriends earlier. How many of them let the guys keep the mustaches after the fact?
It's all over the place. There are many, many mustaches that perish in the car on the way home from Stash Bash. And then there's guys that will keep it. Some guys will raise money and say, if I raise X dollars, I'll keep it this long. A couple years ago, my wife's great. She's a huge supporter and does a ton of stuff for us. But somebody asked her, she's like, one time, like, well, what do you think about Kris's mustache? And she said it perfectly. She said, I don't actually mind the mustache. I don't like how he acts with it. So one year I decided I was going to keep mine for a while because I was just, I really liked it. And we got done at the beginning of June, and probably mid-July. This is why she's smarter than me. She knew if she just said, "I want you to shave it," she was going to encounter resistance. I would, but then I'd maybe be mad about it. Mm-hmm. So what she said was, real casually one day, "You realize that you're just giving it away for free now." And I was like, "Damn it!" And I shaved it that night. Because she's right. The whole point is pay me to grow it. And if I just have it, I'm just giving it away. She just...
There's nothing special about it.
I was being willingly manipulated. Yeah. But there's guys who have it all year and then will shave for a clean shave. They're so into the lifestyle.
Oh, it's very cool. What keeps you doing this? I mean, you mentioned initially, okay, we want to beat Iowa City. Yeah. All right? But once you've accomplished that, why did you say, okay, well, we did it. We had a good year. We raised $50,000. So, pat yourself on the back and go home. What keeps you going after all these years?
It started because it was just fun. I mean, we were really having fun. None of us on the board are paid, right? So we're all volunteers, and we could shut it down whenever we want. And it got to the point then when, without even thinking about it, it had kind of become too big to just walk away from, right? When we got into the $300,000, $400,000, we're like, this is too much of an apparatus doing too much good in Omaha. I mean, we can't just say, okay, we had our fun and walk away. So there had to be at least some succession planning. And so 2 years ago, I actually announced at Stash Bash that I'm stepping down as president. A guy named Brian Moore here in town has actually taken over the role of president. I'm still on the board. I'm not going anywhere. We're still running things, but it's fun until it isn't, and it's still fun for me. And this is year 17. I mean, it's still a lot of fun. I'm diffusing some of the work I'm doing because our board works very, very hard to do all this stuff. But even that work can be diffused out over other volunteers just to get, we've had kind of one guy at the top for a long time. Now, again, I don't want to diminish our board because there's no way I could have done this without those folks over the years. They're amazing. But it needs to be diffused out to be sustainable. And that's what we're working on now behind the scenes. None of the guys want to hear about that nonsense, but behind the scenes, we're making it sustainable so that we can go step back someday and go lead normal, clean-shaven lives like a schmuck.
and you do get a lot of the same people year after year after year that come and grow mustaches, right? But every year, you bring in new people.
Yeah, so our dollars come like 90. I think 90 of our top 100 guys dollar-wise last year are returning growers. They're the lifers. But what's fun is we do pick up new guys every year. We'll pick up guys from the charity. We'll pick up guys who other guys brought them in. We've the last 3 years we've raised over $1 million. Last year was just over $1 million, and Richmond, Virginia, actually for the first time broke $1 million. So for the first time in 10 years, 11 years, we've got somebody in our rearview mirror. Before, there was a huge gap between us and the next, there's 8 or 9 other chapters. And now we've actually got somebody on our heels. So that's going to motivate these guys. And to grow, we need more dudes, right? We do not cap this thing at 200 or 300 guys. We can take as many as we can get. And so if your listeners are out there, even if you're on the fence, just look us up, read about us, come to Clean Shave. You don't have to grow. You can just come to Clean Shave, hang out, and if you go, nah, this ain't for me, that's fine. But if you come to Clean Shave, you're going to look around and go, oh, yeah, where's this been my whole life? This is a blast. Because there's no more fun way to do good in this town. I'm convinced of that.
Okay. Now, I had a few more questions I want to ask you, especially how do people contribute that aren't growing mustaches? But before I do that, one more time, a quick break for our friends at Havana Garage in the Old Market. They have a great humidor. And I enjoy a nice cigar, but even if you're not a cigar smoker, you can enjoy Havana Garage. Havana Garage with an incredible bar, a lot of great cocktails, some craft cocktails, some great whiskey. It's a nice scotch, a nice single malt scotch there. You can enjoy yourself, and just the atmosphere with the Rat Pack days. You got to see it for yourself. All right, in the Old Market, and as you said, weather's nice now. Nice patio outside.
They got a patio out front, and then that little what I call the secret garden out back, which is one of my favorite places. But yeah, and it's a great place to go if you're going to sneak away in the middle of the day and smoke a cigar and you don't want to smell like it. And you can sneak back into that back garden, have a whiskey, have a cigar. It's great. I love it.
And of course, every now and then live music too.
Yes.
So stop by. Next time you're in the Old Market, next time you're going downtown, make Havana Garage a part of your event. Okay, so if somebody wants to just make a donation, but they don't know anybody that's growing,
Sure.
Can they do that?
Absolutely. Go to our homepage. Depending on when this podcast airs, it may or may not be up just yet, but it sounds like it'll be pretty close. We've got a great big red button that says donate now. You can't miss it. Click on there. You can just pick a grower, right? If you know who you're going to go give to, you can do a little, start typing their name and it pops up. It'll take you to that individual grower's growing page and you can donate there. Otherwise, you can just randomly pick a dude and give some money, and those dudes would love it. They just see an email come in saying somebody they don't know gave them $50. Like that'll make their day, man. I'll tell you, it's addictive to hear that ping on your email as those donations start coming in. It's fun.
And you mentioned there's other chapters around the country, but is there like a national chapter that do you have to pay any dues or be affiliated in any way with a national group, or are these just a group of individual guys around the country that hear from other people that are doing this and say, hey, we can do this in our town?
No, there is a national organization. It's run by me. It was kind of on its last legs. It was just one guy kind of running a website that he wasn't maintaining. So a number of years ago, got in contact with him, got the IP, put it into a new entity, and so now it's Mustaches for Kids America, and we're actually planning new chapters. So we have Nashville, Twin Cities. If you're listening to this in Minneapolis, Twin Cities just had their clean shave last night. They're growing right now. And we're always looking to put chapters in new cities. So if anybody out there knows somebody, maybe you got a brother or somebody in another town and they're like, oh, that sounds fun. I wish we had that here. Bring us up.
Now, excuse me, but maybe I misunderstood. I thought you sounded like you were like sort of stepping down, but now.
Well, Todd, to be honest, my goal is to reduce my duties in Omaha so that I can increase my America stuff so that we can get more chapters going. It's in your blood, man. It's funny when you tell people about this, you get one of two reactions. You got guys that are like, man, no, it's not for me. And we don't twist arms anymore. We realize it doesn't do us any good to make you grow because you're just going to be a lousy grower. And then you got those guys that are like, wait, how long's this been in Omaha and you're just now telling me about it? Like, where do I sign up? Let's go. It is, but like it's for a lot of these guys, it's become like a big social network for them. Like some of my best friends now are mustache guys that I just happen to meet along the way in this crazy adventure of ours.
And of course, like you said, every Thursday you do another event, normally at a watering hole, right?
Always at a watering hole,
and,
yes.
You go there and enjoy a libation or two, and then also events. I mean, I know that I've seen them before where you had I think it was a Tom Selleck night and that where you had hot sports cars and you had
we have Magnum PI night.
That's Magnum PI.
So it was at the Pipeline for years. And we all wear Hawaiian shirts. Years ago, guys, against our wishes, started wearing the tight jean shorts, and so some of those guys are borderline obscene. It's something to behold to walk into a bar, especially if you're a civilian. I love watching people walk into the bar, look around at 150 guys in mustache shirts or Hawaiian shirts and mustaches, and then just turn around and walk back to their car. And the best part about this is these guys, like, they know they're doing good for the charities, but some of them don't care all that much. They're like, we know this is going to a good cause. We're doing this because it's a good time and it's fun. And they won't know the charities. Like, I was talking to a guy at one of these Magnum PI nights. He's behind me, and I hear him talking to a civilian who's asking what this is about. And he said, at that time, we were raising money for HETRA, which is a therapeutic horseback riding. And somebody said, who are you raising the money for? And he said, kids with cancer. And I was like, Ian, no, it's the horses. And he goes, oh yeah, horses with cancer or something. And the guy raised $8,000 without ever really knowing who it was for.
And let me give HETRA a plug here, because that's a great charity too. And basically, it provides horse rides for like children in wheelchairs and stuff, so that they can, when they're on a horse, they're at the same level as everybody else, and they feel a lot freer. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but my memory serves me correct, you raised so much money for HETRA, they named like one of their barns after you guys, right?
So if you go out to the HETRA barn, up on the front of the barn is a huge sign. I was there yesterday morning dropping off my daughter. A huge sign. This is Mustaches for Kids Omaha barn. And we didn't ask for that. They were building that facility at the time we were raising money for them, and they said, for the amount of money you raised, here are the naming rights. And I said, look, I appreciate that, but we weren't doing it for that. Like, we're just doing it. And they're like, hey, that's the naming rights. We're going to put it up. And then they put it up and had a big ceremony for us. And I was like, okay, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because a lot of what we look for in a charity partner is we're a one-off deal for them. What can you do with our money that's on your wish list, right? We don't want to just support your programming because you're already doing that. Like, what's your thing? Are you building a new building or expanding, or you want to go into a new line of programming, and the only thing standing between you and helping those kids is dollars? Like, we can fill that. So that's a big part of who we pick every year is, what are you going to do with our money that you can't do today?
But besides raising millions for children, you're also doing your career with the law firm. You're doing stand-up comedy all over the place, not only at the Funny Bone, but a lot of corporate work. You do a lot of parties and also charity events and that, and raise a family. So besides all of that, hey, you got plenty of free time, huh?
Yeah. I'm thinking about taking up juggling. That's my next great adventure.
I didn't know you were a prop comic.
I did one ventriloquist show. It was in Watertown, South Dakota at the very end. Daisy?
Yeah.
At the Funny Bone. So she has some old like vaudeville style dummies. And so I was like, hey, I've got this show, and if I'm ever going to try it. So I borrowed a dummy from her, and I went up to a place where no one would ever see me, and I did my whole hour, and I'm like, now, folks, I've got just a few minutes left. If somebody I'd like you to meet, went over and got the dummy, did a ventriloquist act, and I got it out of my system, and my buddy Phil will tell you it was horrible, but he's wrong. They loved it. That's how I'm going to remember it.
Can you actually do ventriloquism, or your lips moving the whole time?
It was better than you'd think for a first-timer. I'm not going to put myself up there with the greats, but it was, because part of it is you can kind of hide behind the mic a little bit, because I had a mic stand, so I could do it a little bit. In fact, what people are going to be amazed to find out is that you're a ventriloquist dummy, and this entire podcast has been done by me.
Well, you could have just left out the ventriloquist part, but that's another story. Anyway, okay, the website once again is
www.m4komaha. The 4 is the letter number 4, omaha.com.
And if they want to show up for the Clean Shaven event and find out more about this and just be a part of the fun,
yep.
When and where again?
So you can sign up on the website at any time, but join us on May 1st at Brewski's, 156th and Q Street out in Millard. And it ends with Stash Bash. We got to talk about Stash Bash, Tom.
Okay, well, that's real quick.
I'll talk about it. So it's our end of the year party. We have celebrity judges. We give out awards. It's part Miss Amazing or part beauty pageant, part game show. It is the best costume contest you will ever go to. If you just go and sit at the bar and watch these guys walk in, it will be the most fun you have all year. We do it to slow down every year. They've been so good to us over the years, and that's when we announce our grand total. We don't raise a dime at this event. This is just this year. It's May 31st. It's a Saturday down at the Slowdown. And I know you might have gotten married or had a kid this year. I don't care. This is the best night of the year. This is more fun. This is more fun.
You're a hell of a salesman, too. I'll tell you. You're a hell of a salesman, too. Okay, so, yeah, check it out. M4KOmaha.com.
Yep.
M4KOmaha.com, and find out more about it. And if somebody that you know is growing a mustache, contribute to their cause.
Yeah.
And once again, the 3 charities are
Angels Among Us, Sleep in Heavenly Peace, and Heart Heroes.
Wonderful. Kris, I'll tell you, it's a pleasure to know you, an honor to know you, and really enjoy this conversation, man. And let's hit that $2 million mark.
Well, easy, Tiger. Let's get that million first. But no, I really appreciate you having me on, Tom. This is a fun. I like the format here, which is no format. It's great. And your personality is just built for it.
I'll tell you what. No, I'll tell you what. I do love this because I don't have to break for commercial. I mean, I break for commercials, but it's on my own time frame. We can, talk as long or as short as we need to. And this has been a real treat for me to be doing this because I'm talking to a lot of different people. I mentioned we had Colleen Quinn here.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear that. I hope she didn't bring me up.
I don't know if she did or not. I can't remember now.
It's best she does.
I can't remember now. But we also had some serious topics dealing with things like artificial intelligence. We had
my friend Lisa.
Yeah, we had. Oh yeah, you know Lisa.
Yeah.
Well, you know everybody. And they had Clay Anderson. Talking about
who was a Stash Bash judge for us last year.
Was he?
Yeah.
You see, you know everybody. Okay, well then fine. Okay, so
you're name dropping and I'm picking them up.
I'll just have you come in every week, and then you can just speak for all these other people.
I'll be the Andy Richter. I'll sit off screen and just throw barbs over the top of your podcast.
Kris, good talking to you, my friend.
Thanks, Tom.
Again, M4KOmaha.com. Thanks once again to our folks at Havana Garage in the Old Market. Join us every Tuesday. Well, join us whenever you can, but every Tuesday at 10 a.m., a new podcast comes up. Also, sign up, log on to Facebook and be a part of the Beckett's Talking Facebook page. Beckett's Talking Facebook page. We're just getting that up and running a little bit, so we could use a few more people to follow us. So please join us there on Facebook with Beckett's Talking Facebook page. Until next time, thanks for listening, Take care, and bye, y'all.